It's one of the most visited cities in the world, but the coronavirus pandemic has left Istanbul's streets eerily empty. The capital, on the other hand, is full of people. Top bureaucrats, scientists, policy and lawmakers have convened for a meeting of the Coronavirus Coordination Committee, headed by President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. About 2 weeks after China announced the first case of the coronavirus, Turkey establishes a new science council. 10 days later, on the 20th of January, screenings begin at airports for all passengers arriving from countries with confirmed cases. Turkey is then one of the first countries to send a plane to bring its citizens home from Wuhan. And shortly after that, it suspends all flights between Turkey and China.
President Moon Jae-in today chaired the first session of his new Emergency Economic Council. There he announced a support package worth tens of billions of dollars for the country's small businesses hit by the COVID-19 outbreak. But Moon said this is not the end, vowing more unprecedented measures to come.
President Moon Jae-in says the government has shifted its operations to emergency mode, highlighting that the newly launched Emergency Economic Council will be in charge of throwing up swift and aggressive measures in response to COVID-19. He chaired the first session on Thursday, where he unveiled a support package worth nearly $40 billion to ease the financial burden on small businesses and the self-employed. Moon stressed that it's time for decision and action, not reviews and discussions, saying that Thursday's measures were unprecedented in size and scale.
We begin with drastic new measures to slow the spread of COVID-19 and help Canadians get through the pandemic. The Canada-U.S. border is now being shut down to non-essential travel as officials on both sides scramble to fight off the virus. Here at home, disruptions are growing by the day, and so is the financial fallout. Today, the federal government unveiled a massive $82 billion aid package to help Canadians cope.
In these extraordinary times, our government is taking extraordinary measures. In Canada, public health should never hinge on financial considerations.
Let's talk to our health correspondent, Richard Galpin. We've had a breakdown of where, but the bottom line is the deaths in the last 24 hours have taken off significantly.
Yeah, there's basically been about a 30% increase. It's gone up it's gone up to 104 now. All of those in the UK, 99 of them. So this is a very significant increase. As I say, it's gone up by about a third. And
we've heard over the last few days of the worry, this climb in this pandemic, and this looks to be what we're entering now.
Yeah, that's right. We had this warning actually from the expert advisors saying that we are approaching that steep curve when the rate of infection will go up very rapidly.
Australia's borders are about to close to the outside world, the government banning all non-residents from entering the country. It was an extraordinary step, reinforced by Qantas, which today revealed it is grounding all international flights and standing down 20,000 staff.
For the first time in our history, a wall around our island continent, a total ban on all foreigners coming into Australia. Its border force cranked up to the max. Just days after ordering non-Australian citizens landing here to self-isolate for 14 days, now they are not wanted at all. No foreigners in, Australians warned not to leave. No wonder then our national carrier is wounded.
From Italy tonight, the most staggering toll yet. 475 deaths in just the last 24 hours. And again, this happened in a country with a severe lockdown, with more doctors and beds per capita per person than here in the U.S.
Tonight, Italy staggering as the virus rages. 475 more deaths in 24 hours, the most in a single day. The death toll approaching China's, but Italy with just a fraction of the population. New video inside an ICU unit in the hardest hit part of Italy shows doctors fighting a relentless battle, working endless hours. One physician confiding, there are so many patients, there is no time for tears. A governor warning that soon they will not be able to help new victims of the virus amid an acute shortage of equipment.
After more than a week adrift at sea, the British cruise ship, the Braemar, arrived into an industrial port west of the capital, Havana, on Wednesday. After a tortuous journey, the crew seemed elated to have finally landed. Passengers descended from the boat and were bussed to safety in a rescue mission executed by the Cuban and British governments. The Braemar had been stranded at sea for over a week and was denied authorization to dock in the Dominican Republic, the Bahamas, and the US. But Cuba allowed the ship to come in, saying a sense of humanity was required to halt the pandemic.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? Why do you keep using this? A lot of
it
people
comes
say
from
it's
China.
racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why.
Words matter, only if that presents physical harm to the Asian American community. Medical experts and health experts agree that the proper term is COVID-19 or a novel coronavirus. By using this term, it adds nothing to the scientific community, but causes harm to the Asian American community.
You've been very clear about who you think is to blame.
No, I don't think. I know where it came from. It comes from China.
The implication of using words like that is to suggest that somehow Chinese people as a whole are to blame and legitimizes the American populace as a whole, or certain elements of it, to discriminate against Asian Americans.
Empty markets, fewer cars on the roads, and advisories to work from home in many states in India. Airports are now shut to all passengers travelling from the European Union, Turkey, the UK, and Gulf states. This includes Indian citizens. The country's health ministry says there is no evidence of community spread, even as total positive coronavirus cases have crossed 150 in India. WHO has also lauded India's efforts. Dr. K.K. Agrawal is a former president of the Indian Medical Association. He fears not enough people are being tested.
An old computer purchased on eBay by a group of German cybersecurity experts for just $100 has turned out to be priceless, because buried in its data was a step-by-step guide on how to use one of the country's air defense systems.
We've discovered something exciting. The German army hasn't lost any of its classified data on eBay.
Well, the buyer in question claims the laptop contained a set of instructions on the use and maintenance of an advanced anti-aircraft system. The documents also gave guidelines on how to destroy that system so that enemies wouldn't be able to deploy it. The unit in question is currently in the arsenal of the National Army. It was first introduced almost 20 years ago, and it still serves as a defensive barrier for military personnel against low-flying enemy bombers and helicopters.